Welcome back, everyone. Ready to take another deep dive into the world of crypto. We've got a lot to cover today.
Always exciting to see what's new in the crypto world.
Right. We've got a fresh market
Mm.
report, some really interesting news articles, even some legal stuff happening.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I figure we dig into all that and see what we can find, the most important and interesting things.
Sounds good to me. Let's get into it.
All right, so first up, let's take a look at the market overview. The report shows the total crypto market cap is sitting pretty at $3.59 trillion, up 3.27%. Not bad for a day's work, huh?
Not bad at all. Shows continued growth and interest, that's for sure.
Totally. And get this, trading volume has jumped up a whopping 34% to $138.16 billion.
Yeah, that's pretty significant. Especially considering, the volatility we've seen in the past. Maybe investors are finally starting to feel more comfortable.
Maybe. Seems like Bitcoin and Ethereum are leading the charge. Bitcoin's up by 2.52%, and Ethereum's up 4.7%.
Solid gains for sure.
Yeah. Surprise.
Not really. I mean, it's a generally bullish market right now. What I find interesting, though, is how this upward trend is happening, like across the board. Even altcoins are seeing some pretty impressive growth.
You're right. It does seem like the whole crypto world is on an upswing.
Exactly. Could be a shift in investor sentiment overall.
I wonder what's driving some of these massive surges we're seeing. Jasmy Coin, or JSMY, shot up by like 37.1%. And then you've got Fartcoin up over 28%. What's going on there?
Well, there are a lot of factors at play, Could be positive news about a project, maybe increased adoption. Sometimes even just a bit of hype can really drive things up. Like with Jasmy Coin, maybe investors are seeing its potential in the Internet of Things sector.
Makes sense. But it's not all sunshine and rainbows out there, right? Some coins are taking a hit, too. Even big names can't escape those market fluctuations.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Volatility is just part of the game,
Yeah. Like official Trump is down 2.4%. Then there's Toncoin and Dogwifhat, both feeling the dip this week. But speaking of unexpected moves, did you hear about Norway's sovereign wealth fund?
Oh, yeah, that caught my eye, too. That's one of the world's largest investment funds, right?
Huge. And they decided to up their indirect exposure to Bitcoin by a crazy 153%.
Wow. It's a pretty bold move, that's for sure. Must be seeing Bitcoin as a good long-term investment, huh?
Guess so. But what exactly does indirect exposure even mean?
So basically, they're not buying Bitcoin directly. Instead, they're investing in companies that have a lot of Bitcoin holdings, like MicroStrategy, Square, Tesla. It's kind of a way to bet on Bitcoin's success without actually, holding the asset directly.
Interesting. So they're kind of playing it safe, but still getting in on the action. What happens if other big institutions follow their lead? What could that do to Bitcoin's price?
Well, it's hard to say for sure. It could definitely drive up demand, maybe even lead to higher prices in the long run. But there are a lot of things that affect Bitcoin's value: market sentiment, regulations, even just like technological advancements. It's a really dynamic landscape.
So unpredictable, right?
Exactly.
Oh. And before we move on, Grayscale Investments just launched a Bitcoin miners ETF, MNRS for short.
It's important to remember that this ETF's performance is totally tied to how well the Bitcoin mining industry is doing, and that can be pretty volatile.
So it's not without risk.
Definitely not. But it does show how people are finding new and interesting ways to get involved in the crypto market.
For sure. And speaking of the market, there's a lot of talk and some disagreement about what role Bitcoin should play in national financial systems. Like the European Central Bank President Christine Lagarde, she's really against Bitcoin ever being part of central bank reserves.
Oh, yeah.
But then you have the Czech Republic, where the finance minister is actually worried about Bitcoin's volatility because their central bank is thinking about adding it to their reserves.
Wow, that's a big difference in opinion.
Right. And they might even invest up to $7 billion. So it's a pretty big deal. Where do you stand on this? Do you think Bitcoin belongs in national reserves, or is it just too risky for governments to handle?
That's a tough one. There are definitely good arguments on both sides, but I think the fact that we're even having this conversation shows how much Bitcoin has grown. It's being taken seriously by policymakers all over the world.
Totally. And it seems like every country is taking a different approach. But that's not all, folks. There are a ton of other interesting things happening in the crypto world right now. Get ready, because we're about to go rapid fire on some other notable developments.
All right, hit me with it. First up, Eigenlayer and Cartesi are teaming up for a hackathon, all about building applications that combine AI and DeFi.
Whoa, AI and DeFi. That's a pretty powerful combo. What do you think will come out of that?
Oh, tons of stuff, I bet. Like, imagine personalized financial advice based on your, risk tolerance and goals, or maybe AI algorithms that could, help you optimize your trading strategies.
Wow, the possibilities are endless. It feels like DeFi is just getting started. But not everywhere is as welcoming to crypto innovation, right?
Hmm.
Over in China, a court just convicted some BKEX staff for illegal gambling using crypto contracts.
Yeah, that's a good reminder that the laws around crypto are still being figured out. It's a bit of a wild west out there.
It definitely makes you think about the risks involved. And speaking of risks, remember El Salvador, the country that made Bitcoin legal tender? Well, now they're scrambling to introduce new Bitcoin laws to keep the IMF happy.
Yeah, I saw that. Sounds like they're caught between a rock and a hard place.
It'll be interesting to see how that all plays out. But back to Bitcoin for a sec. There's this Bitwise executive who thinks a past executive order from former President Trump could actually change Bitcoin's 4-year cycle. Wild, right?
Well, what's this about a 4-year cycle?
Oh, right. So Bitcoin has this pattern of big price swings that happen roughly every 4 years. It usually lines up with the halving events, when the rate of new Bitcoin creation is cut in half.
Right, the halving events. Yeah, I remember. So how would an executive order affect that?
Well, this particular executive order was all about promoting responsible innovation in digital assets. The Bitwise guy thinks that because of the order, there's more regulatory clarity now and more institutions are getting involved. And that could actually make those big price swings less dramatic.
So instead of those huge spikes and dips, we might see a more steady growth pattern. That would be a pretty big change for Bitcoin.
Totally. But as we've seen, predicting anything in the crypto world is a risky business.
Oh, for sure.
Speaking of risky business, Solana, the blockchain platform, the one that's super fast and has low transaction fees, well, they're starting to give Ethereum a run for its money in the decentralized exchange market.
Solana is definitely making waves. But are there any downsides, you think? Like maybe security concerns?
That's a good question. Definitely something for potential investors to consider, right? Got to weigh those pros and cons.
Absolutely. Always got to do your research. Speaking of platforms making moves, did you hear about Robinhood? They're thinking about launching Bitcoin futures trading.
No way. What do you think that means for, the mainstreaming of crypto derivatives?
Well, Robinhood's known for making investing accessible, right? So I think it shows that there's a growing demand for these more advanced crypto products, even among everyday investors. And it also kind of signals that crypto is becoming more accepted, like a real asset class.
It's amazing how far crypto has come. It wasn't that long ago that it was just this niche thing happening on, internet forums, and now it's everywhere.
The times they are a-changin'.
Man, we've covered a lot of ground today. Everything from, market trends and big investments to regulations and new tech. It's been a wild ride.
Yeah, the crypto world never sleeps. Always something new happening.
So for someone who's been listening and, taking it all in, what's the most important thing to remember from today?
I'd say the main takeaway is that the crypto world is always changing. It's super dynamic, always innovating, pushing boundaries. What's true today might be totally different tomorrow.
Yeah, you got to stay on top of things.
For sure. And it's not just about, watching the price of Bitcoin go up and down. It's about understanding the tech behind it all, the things that are shaping the market, and how crypto could really change the world.
This deep dive has been awesome. I feel like I have a much better grasp on, the whole crypto ecosystem now. It's so much more than just buying and selling coins,
It really is, and that's what makes it so exciting. So with everything we've talked about today, what do you think the crypto landscape will look like in 5 years? What role will you play in it?
Wow, those are some good questions. Definitely something to think about. We've seen the market caps exploding, institutions jumping in, regulations popping up, and so much innovation. It's crazy.
It is pretty amazing. There's a lot of opportunity out there, but also a lot of uncertainty. But one thing's for sure, it's going to be an interesting ride.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the crazy world of crypto. Hope you learned a thing or two, and maybe even got a little inspired.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep on diving deep.